Give me a sec, guys. I can tell I have to get the sound right really quick for Greg to hear your question. So give me one second. All right, go ahead, Linda.
Hey, Linda.
Hi, Ray. Hi, I assume that's Samantha over there somewhere. I have been working with the Three Brains from right, and been doing it pretty much every day since we did the vagus nerve class.
Okay.
Okay, so about 6 weeks now. And now we've got the body mapping class, which has the whole Three Brains protocol in it. Now, my question is, how do those work together? Do they work together? Yes. Should I be doing both? And how often?
So, great question, by the way. So the thing is they do work together, and they are doing slightly different things. And so kind of the way that we unveiled the Three Brain thing was we did it a little bit in stages so that you could, begin kind of practicing some of those, because I think we even released a little bit of a practice in the middle of July in the, what was it? The energetic mechanics to the nervous system or something like that, where, we basically started kind of just doing the Three Brains, but we were using like galbanum or spikenard, valerian, I can't remember, like vetiver, things like that. And the idea there is that one's not so much about developing the aspects of the Three Brain, but sometimes some of the, especially the solar plexus and the sex chakra, which is the root brain, can be a bit agitated. I mean, the mind can be too, but it's usually more like the solar plexus or the sex chakra. So we kind of laid that one out a little bit so that people could start kind of playing with it. And if there is agitation, that can calm it down, and it's something that we can always go back to. Then in the vagus nerve class, we started using artemisia or mugwort. And the thing with artemisia and mugwort is they're very activating to wherever you put it. Like it opens up the centers, or it opens up the energetic channels. It makes the chakras function better. And so here you're doing, again, your brain, your solar, and the sex chakra. And it's just kind of, I don't want to say like activating them, but it's making it easier for those three things to align. Like, you're starting to go down that rabbit hole a little bit more. It opens up the centers, it makes them function. And like the chakras, like will do this like back and forth, but eventually it'll even start doing a little bit of a pumping motion, And so by going through and engaging that, you're getting more quality from the harmonizing of those three components, and it starts to make it a little bit easier for them to begin to harmonize. Then in the Three Brain, with the body mapping, we're working with that blend Shibumi, and then the other blend alignment. That is really starting to align those three so that they start working as a functioning unit. And kind of what starts to happen like towards the end of that is you almost start to feel like you're sitting in a pillar. Like it almost becomes this like one functional unit. And there's still a couple more phases that we're going to be doing, but it's a little bit of an intense practice, and you got to let your body kind of get used to it. And so, even just over a couple of weeks, that's usually even enough. But, we were going to do the next phase next weekend. And then I was like, let everybody process it a little bit and let it really settle in before we move into the next phase. So we'll do it like towards the end of the month in October. And that will be a further development of the Three Brain process. But yeah, I actually was just I've spent the last day and a half writing out the mechanics, and I don't want to say the history of it, but like the drawing upon different cultures and how they see it, and like kind of mechanically how it works. And there's going to actually be like a little book that I'm going to do for Astara that's for the Three Brains, and basically what we're calling active clairvoyance. And there's a lot of levels to the practice, and as you go through and you start doing it, it keeps unfolding and unfolding, and at some point we'll be doing it for a while as a group, but then at some point there might even be where I have smaller groups or I do one-on-one interactions with people to really hone their particular aspects of that. And so, that probably won't happen for 6 months or so, but there's definitely levels to it. So I would go back and forth, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
From time to time, I do the Artemisia and the mugwort, but since you've been doing that for a while, I'd probably lean a little bit more on the Shibumi and the alignment for a little while, and then just keep doing that because you'll be preparing for what's going to happen at the end of the month.
Oh, okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. One more quick question. When you say the back throat, is that just physically the back of my throat? Is there an energy
it's the
center
middle of the back of your neck.
The middle of the back of my
exactly.
neck.
Just right. If you go from here and then you just go to the back side. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, but on the inside of the mouth, it's not like the
No,
back
just
neck
like if
chakra.
you can go just with your awareness on the back side. Like if you go,
okay.
like how you have a back heart chakra, you go to the back throat. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I've actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because I have played with going like through the throat to the inside of your mouth or throat, but like on the backside inside.
Right.
And it does something, it's more powerful on the backside, but where I do that sometimes is when people have really severe neck issues, like on the backside. Sometimes that's kind of good to work that particular area, but
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So nice to see you.
You're so welcome. Yeah. How's your experience been since you've been doing it? I'm just curious.
Oh, it's been phenomenal. I mean, just absolutely phenomenal. I feel so much more centered, calm, present, strong, and just much. A friend of mine actually came over today. In fact, Victoria, who's on this call right now, came over today, and she was saying she really could tell in my demeanor how much calmer and more peaceful and present I am. Yeah. It's phenomenal. I love it. I'm so excited to keep doing more of it. And it thrills me to think that you'll work with us even more deeply with this practice.
Yeah, I mean, there's pieces of it that are easier to teach with oils, and then there's pieces of it that are easier to teach without oils because you do these other kinds of practices. And so, we've been doing a version of it with Astara. Like in the US, we've only released, I think 5 of the modules, and the 6th one's coming out here sometime in the next few weeks. But like we were teaching it in India as well, and I gave them 9 modules, but they are only on, they've kind of reviewed them, but they're only on about module 5 as well. Like I probably gave them a little too much at once. And so, because it's a lot to digest. It's a lot to digest. And so, it's going to be interesting to watch how we do it over a period of time over the next several months, because the next one that's coming out with Astara is we do this practice, but we do it with stones. You do this thing where you know how like sometimes in the practice I'll have you breathe the essence in and breathe something out. Like we did it last week in the angelic class, but I mean, I've done it in different classes where you kind of breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, you feel like an essence coming in, and you breathe out and you're releasing an essence. And we do that with stones and statues and inanimate objects so that you can fine tune your ability to pick up information from form that is less movable than even like your thoughts, or it's just a way to fine tune the mind. And that part, I'm not sure how I'm going to do that one with oils. Like when I was taught, it was always done with a stone, or actually the way I was taught was with a tonka, like a painted image, the Buddhist images. And so we'll come up with something, but Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are you located? I forget.
Oh, I'm in Oregon near Portland.
Oregon. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to be in Seattle. I don't know if you can make it up to Seattle, but we're also doing a little uh the ceremonies when we go to places in person now that is about like an empowerment for the three brains. And we're using a thing called a milong, which is nobody outside of Tibet and Nepal really does like milongs. It's usually just like the head of a temple or a guru or something, but it's basically like this metal mirror, and you pour holy water over it while the person does these reflections and these processes. And it's hard to explain, but it highly, highly, highly accelerates the process, like highly, highly, highly accelerates the process. And so if you can, try to make it up there in person when we're there in the middle of November.
Middle of November. Okay, I'll look for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Even if it's just for like a day, like we'll do it on Saturday night. What did we say, Saturday or Friday?
That was said Friday.
Yeah, we're going to do it on Friday night. So try to be there on Friday night. Even if you can't do the weekend, try to be there on the Friday night.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll send out an email and let people know,
course.
but just give you a heads up.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
And then we do have a question in chat as well, but if you have a question, you can always unmute yourself. You can type in the chat. Yeah, go ahead, Victoria.
Hey, Victoria.
Hi. What a privilege to be here.
Oh, you're so sweet.
No, seriously. I've been intent on your integrative and energetic mechanics in the nervous system, and I've just been doing repetition of the first 3 protocols. And
Oh, amazing.
yeah.
That's great work right there.
Oh, I thought so.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's powerful. And I was just,
Yeah.
there's protocols A through H. And my question is, are we supposed to go through it sequentially, or can we be doing
Each segment you can actually break up and do by itself. Like we do it through the weekend that way. And like if you were really to sit down and do a big hardcore therapeutic practice, you could, but it's kind of meant that like each segment you could pull it out and do that thing just by itself. Like the one that I do a lot is the one for the aura. I do like I rotate the oils, and I mean I work the aura like nobody's business. And I don't do the ones before, I don't do the ones after. I just go through and do that, clean that up. And I usually conk out at the end of the day. And I mean I did it last night, and well, yeah, it was quite relaxing.
Well, that's helpful. Thank you so much. The other question is, how do you match these oils to the breathing protocols? Is there
To the what?
specific to the breathing, to the pranayama, to when we're using the oils and breath?
Mhm.
Are the oils that are suggested, do they have properties specific to amplifying the effect?
Yes. So when we choose those oils, like they're basically all the kind of like A or A plus choices. And sometimes there might be some B choices, but B choices usually are substantially less. And even within the ones that are listed, there's some slight variations of what they do and why, but they're all similar enough to do what you're doing. So they're very specific to that process. Like they're producing a result that is meant to happen in that process.
Thank you.
That actually goes into a good question. Could you explain the difference between A choice, B choice oils?
Yeah, so A choice is usually something that produces a premium result, not necessarily a premium oil, but like a premium result. Like a good example is where it's something that's inexpensive, but is like kind of a premium, and something like that is eucalyptus smithy. Not a very expensive oil, very good for rapidly cleaning up the aura and the energy body. And so that would still be considered a premium choice, where, you know, you start to look at maybe other eucalyptuses, they'll do it, but their efficacy is maybe like half as potent. And so, yes, you could still produce a result, but nowhere near to the same as the oils that are listed in that particular protocol.
There's an upcoming class on lymphatic technique.
Mhm.
Could you speak to that next?
Yeah. So we are going to go deep on the neck, and the neck is not just something like, you know, a lot of people have issues with the neck, but we're looking at the function of the neck, how it impacts the lymphatic system, and also how it impacts the nervous system and the connective tissue or the fascia of the body. And so we'll be unwinding the neck, you know, like kind of loosening it up and everything, but we're going very deep on a couple particular muscles in the neck. We'll be going deep on the throat chakra itself, is the kind of like the mother chakra for the lymphatic system. So you're all kind of right in that area. And you could say there's lots of factors with lymphatic function, right? But if you look at it from the physiology, and if you look at it from the point of view of the breath, and you look at it from the point of view of the energetics of the body, all of it has a root in the throat. You know, your ability to elevate the rib cage and take a deep breath is tied to muscles in the neck. The muscles on the side of your neck really dictate how well certain parts of your nervous system are impacted. And so when the nervous system is off, the lymphatic system is off. And then if you're not able to breathe properly, then the movement of lymph through the body is impacted. And then if we look at it from the point of view of energetics, then if that energy center is off, then also lymphatic function is going to be off. If you look at it from the point of view of fascia, you know, you have a big plane of, like, fascia is like connective tissue, and you have a big plane of fascia like that runs up the backside of your head and on your shoulders and down into your back a little bit. And when that's tight, it affects your breath, it affects your muscles, it affects your lymph nodes, it affects circulation of lymphatic movement. But also what it does is it impacts the cerebral spinal fluid circulation, which is your brain's ability to detoxify and upgrade the nervous system, regulate the nervous system. But it's also tied to how the cerebral spinal fluid circulates in the body. And so, you know, it's just a one-day class, but we're going to cover a lot of ground just in addressing the different aspects that have to do with the neck and how they impact lymphatic function, and both physically, you could say psychologically somewhat, because even if you look at it from the point of view of psychologically, you know, your voice or your words are also tied to what you attract from the environment, like the elements or the elementals. And the lower form of it is the sex chakra, which is lower creative processes. The throat is higher creative processes. So when lymphatic function is working, your ability to throw off lower vibrational energies in the body is enhanced, which means your body is able to accelerate the healing process. But psychologically, when it's able to throw off lower vibrational energies, it's able to throw off like repetitive thoughts, break down like thought forms that maybe were formed because of trauma, or somebody else saying something sassy to you, and, you know, somebody obnoxious when you were young, like you know, like a teacher saying you're never going to amount to anything. And, you know, as a kid, you just kind of take that in as like, okay, an adult said it. And, you know, as you get older, you know, you've stepped away from that, but it's still in the psyche somewhere. And so it's tied to a lot of function in a lot of different areas, all just from the neck. And so instead of hitting it bits and pieces in some of the different classes, we're going to pull it all together and do it all at once and just that 1 day free class. And then speaking of the 3 brain, the next day I'm going to do about a 2-hour lecture on some of the mechanics of the 3 brain and the stages of development for the 3 brain. It's a free lecture associated with Stara. So the Astara component, is part of where we draw some of the teachings from, as well as other places. And we're going to go through and talk about the mechanics and draw upon some of the teachings that come out of Astara and what that means, and have better understanding of how those things develop over a period of time. Because really what we're talking about is moving from like passive clairvoyance to active clairvoyance. And like passive clairvoyance, you might start to have like little flashes of like, oh, I see something, or I have a little intuition. But in that place, you're still have the potential of getting stuck in what you see. And when you kind of move past it, it opens up a whole realm of possibilities, but you almost have to run this gauntlet of not getting stuck for a little bit. And so like you look at something with passive clairvoyance and you have to go like, oh, I see it, but I'm not going to pay attention to it until you get into the active clairvoyance where you're doing the 3 brain. And the way that, like I was just, I've been writing for the last day and a half. So like one of the ways that I was explaining it in the book was that think of like when you have to go to the grocery store. Like you're sitting at home and you go, okay, I need milk, I need bread, I need eggs. Okay, so I'm going to go to the store and get the milk, the bread, the eggs. So all of that is, you're coming from the place of what I want, what I need, what I desire, what I think I deserve, right? All of that is of like the state. Like you're in a place where you're like you're passive, you're sitting there, you're thinking of something that you need, and then you're going to go to this other place where you're going to get those things, right? So that is the yin aspect, or the passive aspect. Then you gather up your keys, you get your wallet, you get your list, you go out to the car, you get in the car, you start the car, you drive it to the grocery store, you walk down the aisles in the grocery store, and you make choices on the different brands of products that you're looking at. Like which brand of milk should I get? Which brand of eggs? Do I want cage free, or do I want the other ones, or whatever it is? And then you get your items and you go to the counter, you pay for it, you get back in the car and you drive home. So that is what you would call like the active phase, or active clairvoyance. So in that, you're spending time making adjustments, you're refining yourself, you're making choices that you keep adapting to, shifting to, changing to. And understanding that concept is really the difference between the logical mind and the intuitive mind. The intuitive mind is the part that got you to the grocery store and walked you down the aisles and helped you to adjust and adapt. Even though you might be using a little bit of logic there, it's still more action oriented, or this aspect of intuition. And then you come to the logical part, and you get back home, you put the groceries away, and you're like, oh, tomorrow I have such and such for breakfast, or whatever it is. And so if you look at it, the action was much more like, there's more quantity, there's more effort, there's more everything in the action than there was in the state, in that place. And so most times our mind dwells more in the state and less in the active component. But when we really refine that, That's where the innovation comes. That's where we don't anticipate something because we're adjusting, we're adapting. And so, like Linda was saying, she feels calmer, she feels better, she feels more relaxed. That's because by doing this and engaging this process, you're really reducing the anticipation that would produce anxiety. You know, it's basically another way of saying that it's reduced awareness in that area, which we all have. Like, you know, we get stuck in thinking about what we're thinking, and, you know, I'm at home, I'm thinking about this or that, or I'm at work and I'm thinking about these things. And so with this idea, you keep, it's not that one's better than the other. You want to keep going back and forth between the two. Like you want to be able to be in the state, but when you go out and you do action, you come back, the state becomes more refined. It becomes like a better version of itself, you know, because there's still a little bit of movement there. So it just shifts and changes a little bit. And, you know, even in that manifestation, the shift and change there is now you have food in the cupboard. Like you went out, you did something, you came in, now you have eggs, now you have milk, now you have bread. You're good for a few days, right? And so, I mean, it's a very, very simple explanation, but I think when we're talking about things that are very metaphysical and very abstract, it's nice to use everyday things so that we kind of can get the idea and then apply it to things that are much more abstract. And you can feel the byproduct of this action, like how Linda was saying, like, I feel better like this, I feel better like that. But like I you know, even now, if like I go and say, okay, but if I explain what happens when I'm in that process, it's hard to explain because there's so much movement. It's essence, it's dynamic activity, where really the thing that's the easiest to explain is something that's static, that's not really changing very much, because you can describe it and it stays the same. But that's why, like, when we're doing some of these processes, I'll go, let's not talk about it, let's just do the process, because it's about the movement or the essence, rather than this is a technique that and we do this all the time for, you know, we do these things, but it's producing a kind of essence, it's producing a kind of movement. And really, sometimes having the experience first makes it easier to understand after the fact, if that makes sense. Boy, I'm on a tangent, dude. You can tell I've been writing. I'm like, blah, 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 blah.
Well, it's great. Apparently everyone was ready for your tangent. That was all the questions. So if you
Oh,
want
was-
to go practice with what you're talking
Okay.
about,
Okay. Yeah.
and if you guys have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, unmute yourself
Yeah.
and type in, but
Let's go back and look at like Linda brings up a good thing with, let's have you, let me look at the booklet. I'm doing it from, let's have you. Yeah, so let's have you do, if you have any of these, if not, we'll come up with something different, but Siberian fir, vetiver, roost spikenard, valerian, galbanum, fir supreme, or aegis.
sure I missed one of these. So I have
Siberian,
Siberian fir,
fir,
roost coots, vetiver, fir supreme,
spikenard,
spikenard,
valerian,
valerian.
galbanum, and then aegis. Yeah,
And how do I spell Aegis?
Aegis. Okay, so we're gonna just do like a little bit of a slow walk through this, and then we'll step it up a notch. Okay, so with whatever oil that you have, did anybody need a substitute? Everybody seems to have it. Okay, so begin inhaling, and your awareness is going to be on the sex chakra. And we're doing the three brain technique that right now is out of the energetic mechanics class. That was a free class in the middle of July. So if you don't have that downloaded or access to it, just email us and let us know. And it's a free one, and we'll kick that over to you here. Yeah, use that. Use that. Okay, so you're inhaling, your awareness is on the sex chakra. You're taking long, slow, deep breaths. Just keep inhaling, your awareness is on the sex chakra. And then pause and be still. And then same spot, you're inhaling on the sex chakra. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is still on the sex chakra. We got to get you a travel couch. And then just be still. Just be still. And now you're going to do your awareness on the solar plexus. So the area below your ribs, you're going to take nice, long, slow, deep breaths. You're still taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Just be still. Again, begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the solar plexus. Nice, long, slow, deep breath. And then just be still. Now your awareness is on your brain. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the brain. And then just be still. Just be still. Again, begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the brain. And then just be still. Just be still. Again, begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the brain. Just pause and be still. Now, begin inhaling with your awareness in all three. Don't worry about balancing them, but just try to have your awareness on your brain, your solar, and your sex, all three at the same time. Don't worry about balancing them out right now. Just practice getting them on all three. And then just pause and let go for a moment. Just let go. And then again, begin inhaling. Your awareness is on your brain, your solar, and your sex chakra, all three at the same time. Keep inhaling, keep trying to keep your awareness on the brain, the solar, the sex. And then pause and just be still. Now let's try going a little deeper. So let's find a different oil. If you have mugwort or artemisia, mugwort supreme. If you don't have one of those, maybe maybe chakra root tincture, or even maybe not basil, hyssop. But mugwort or artemisia would be your first choices. Also allostasis. Allostasis could be a choice as well.
And a choice in that.
Mugwort and artemisia are the A choices here, but if you don't have those, I'm giving you some B choices just in case. But if you have artemisia and mugwort, that's the one to grab. We were doing like a little three brain empowerment thing tonight. Okay, so again, with whichever oil that you have, begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the sixth chakra. What else you got over there? Why don't you do Melissa? So you're on the sixth chakra. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Man, I can smell that from here. I can smell that from here. And then pause and be still. And you're inhaling, your awareness is on the sex chakra. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just pause and be still. How's that treating you? Pretty nice, yeah. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to go to the solar plexus, the area below your ribs. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then pause and let go. And then again on the solar plexus. And then just be still. Now your brain. Long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the brain. And then be still. Just be still for a moment. And then again, you're inhaling, your awareness is on the brain. How's that treatment? And just be still. And then the brain again, long, slow, deep breaths. And pause and be still. Begin inhaling, your awareness is on the brain, the solar plexus, and the sex chakra. Your awareness is just on all three. Don't worry about balancing it right now. Just try all three. We're going to do a couple of things that haven't been in any of the classes or booklets yet. So practice this really well. Your awareness is on all three. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Just pause and be still. Just feel me. Yeah. Again, all three, the sex chakra, the solar plexus, the brain. Now begin to try to harmonize them. So a third of your awareness is on the brain, a third of your awareness is on the solar, a third of your awareness is on the sex chakra. Then pause and be still. in all three: sex, solar, brain, all three at once. Try to even them out as much as you can. Okay, be still. Begin inhaling again, same oil, this time your spine, your whole spine. If there's a spot that jumps out, work on that spot, but otherwise do your whole spine. And then let that go. Go back to the three brains, the brain, the solar, the sex at the same time. And then pause and be still. Everything okay? Everything okay? And then just be still. Go back to the spine. Start inhaling. Your awareness is on the spine. Your awareness is on the whole spine. You're taking some nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then pause and be still. Go back to the brain, the solar, and the sex, all three at the same time. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just be still. Just be still. Now, think of your environment. Think of the things that have just happened in the last week or so. Just whatever it is, not good, bad, just anything. Just focus on what it is. You're being aware, your eyes are closed. Begin inhaling the oil on whatever it was, the good, the bad, the indifferent. Back to the three brain. The brain, the solar, the sex, all three at the same time. Try to balance them out as quickly as you can. Begin inhaling, you're on all three. Okay, go back to the external situation. You can let the inhalation go for a moment. Just observe your external situation. You're inhaling, you're observing the external situation, you're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Just pause and let everything go for a moment. Just pause. Okay. So we've been going through and we've been touching on some things. We're going to still use the same oil that we're using, but we're going to kind of keep doing this like back and forth thing, but things are going to kind of merge together a bit. Okay. So we're going to do shorter little bursts of what we're doing. So begin inhaling. Your awareness is on all three brains, the brain, the solar, the sex chakra. Balance it out the best that you can. Take long, slow, deep breaths. And then let it go for a second. Let the inhalation go. As you're letting the inhalation go, be aware of the front side of your body, your face, your throat, your chest, your abdomen, your groin, the front of your legs, the shins, the top of your feet. Begin inhaling again. Let it go for a moment. Go back to the three brain, the solar, the sex at the same time. Inhale and harmonize. Okay, let it go. Let the inhalation go. Pause. Your awareness is on the back side of your body, the back of your head, the back neck, back, butt, back of your legs, your calves, all the way down to your heel. Begin inhaling. Close this for you. And then let it go. And jump right back into the three brains again. The brain, the solar, the sex. Your awareness is on the three brains. Taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Just be still. Go to the left side of your body. Left side of your head, your face, the left side of your face, meaning like your jaw. Left side of your neck, left shoulder, left rib cage, hip, outer part of the thigh, outer shin, your ankle. Long, slow, deep breaths. Let it go. Back to the three brains, the brain, the solar, the sept. You're inhaling on the brain, the solar, the sept. Okay, let that go. The right side of your body. Right side of your head, neck, shoulder, right rib cage, right hip, outer thigh, outer shin, right ankle. Let it go. Your awareness is on the spine. Excuse me, not the spine, the three brains. The brain, the solar, the sept. The brain, the solar, the sept. You're taking long, slow, deep breaths. And then be still, be aware. Just be still. Just let it incubate for a moment. Let it treat you. That wasn't just a protocol, that was a healing session right there. Just let it incubate for a moment. Something's still happening. Okay, let's share experiences and go ahead and ask questions.
You can unmute yourself, you can type it.
That was super intense and interesting. It I started off with the Roospoos for the first part,
Mhm, mhm.
and then went to the Artemisia. And with the Artemisia, it felt I think the word I came up with was denser, thicker.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the more we kept going, the more I felt resistance coming up. Like I don't know what it was, but it was like stuff was like I was feeling a lot of resistance and like obstacles or something. It was like, why is this getting so hard? And then there was this whole conversation going on between I don't know who and who inside of me. Just stick with it. Just stick with it. No, I don't want to. Stick with it. I don't want to. And yeah, and so I'm really good. I'm curious. One of the things I've noticed with the protocols is that I don't necessarily know right here, right now, what's happened or how I'm feeling, but like
Mhm.
later this evening, it's like, or tomorrow, it's like I'll
Mhm.
notice that, oh, there was some major something that went
Mhm.
on there. Yeah, so that was my experience.
Yeah, like like you said, it's kind of like hard to say like in the moment what's happening. And even the way we do the process, it's not like we're going, okay, let's target this symptom where your brain could kind of make sense of it. You're doing this kind of abstract thing and then kind of almost just waiting for an email to arrive, like, okay, what did I just do? you know and
And I think that was maybe some of the resistance was like there
yeah,
wasn't anything for my brain to hang on to, right?
yeah,
It was like
exactly.
just doing
and
it, just be in it, just be here, just
and as you go through and do this process, there's like a greater level of like oneness that starts to happen. It starts to change your energy body, your aura, which has like a kind of a resonance to it. And like you're kind of breaking a pattern of like what you've been attracting and what's been projected at you. You're almost like scrambling it and like walking away from it, in a sense. And you could say, like, if you think about it, we think of ourselves as just ourselves, and this is me, and I sometimes think inside, and sometimes I have to do with outside, but there's the inner you, there's the outer you, there's the you that has to do things at work, there's the you that has to do things like maybe socially, then there's the you that does something when you're helping somebody or helping a child or a friend or a loved one. There's a part where there's the you when you're driving the car on the freeway. Like all these things are like these different aspects of you, and the more that you kind of do the part that we just did, where we kind of did it with the spine, and then we went to the external, and that was just to kind of prime the pumps. But when you start working the three brains and then reflecting it in the aura like that, it's like the best way to say it is like you almost become more aware of those different parts of yourself. It's not like they're different, they're just like different facets. And there starts to be like an integration or a wholeness that kind of happens. Like they overlap or they communicate with each other. And basically what starts to happen is these are all pieces of like your persona, your personality, whatever you want to call it. There starts to be a greater level of that inner you in all those different pieces, if that makes sense. Like the part that experiences oneness, or the part that experiences the divine spark or the soul, it's like it starts to have a bigger impact in all these little sections. Even though you're not doing meditation, but you're on the freeway, there's still a deeper connection in those parts. And you're doing your thing at work, but there's still like a deeper like presence when you're doing that. And that presence is really the part that's doing all the innovating. How we talk about like, oh, I'm not feeling anxious and I'm not doing this and I'm innovating and I'm really thinking like outside the box, and there's this more dynamic activity. It's more that than us just being like smarter. We are being smarter, but not like how we think about being smart. It's more of the intuitive mind is getting to have a little bit of a bigger role, you could say.
Wonderful. I was curious, Greg, in the one in the vagus nerve, when we do it, we start with the brain and go to the solar plexus and the sex.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
No,
okay.
No, you could do it either way. I mean, honestly, like half the time when I do it, I start at the solar plexus, and then I go, oh, then the sex, and then the brain. It
doesn't matter. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just like the structure and the class is just so we're all on the same page. But I mean, sometimes it does matter, but for the three brain thing, it does not.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
No.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That was amazing.
You're so welcome.
And go ahead, Robert, and then we have some shares as well.
Hey, Robert.
Hi, Greg. Back a couple years ago when I started taking classes from you, I made a sort of conscious choice to not let my logical brain take over and start asking questions. How and why and when, and all the kinds of things that a logical brain does.
Right.
And going through this, sort of like Linda experienced, there was this point, it's like, I have to start asking how and why and when, and all those kinds of questions. And then after a while, that's sort of like her resistance.
Yeah, sure.
And after a while, it was just like, no, just relax. You're fine. Everything's okay. It's all coming together. Yeah. And you don't have to have words for it. Because
no, and the thing with the logical mind is it does well with what it knows or what it's experienced, but you're having something now where it's like a different experience, and so your mind really will like try to go, well, I think it's kind of like this, or maybe it's like that, like it's because it doesn't really have a thing to define it with. And so like you said, if you can just let it pass for a little bit, eventually your mind has something where it goes like, oh, now I have an experience, now I can process this, now I kind of get it. but you kind of have to, I mean, that's kind of the purpose of ceremony is you get like you're bypassing that part of the mind, be it however you're doing it, a gong, a bowl, a ceremony, a dance, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I think my logical mind, the biggest struggle is that even now I have no words to describe any of it. Any three brain stuff we've
Yeah,
done.
I
It's-
hear you. I'm laughing because like when I was young, I would go see this one teacher and it's a different version of kind of what we're doing. And I would have all these insights and I would have this amazing experience and I'd go back and I'd be telling my friends how it, my experience was and how amazing it was. And they go, well, what did he talk about or what did he do? And I was like, well, there were some trees. He talked about some trees for a little bit, like, and I just would say a bunch of random words and they were like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like it doesn't make sense because it's movement. Like it's not the words. And so I would give them some words that got used in the process, but none of it made sense to anybody. And so
No.
after a while, I was just like, it's just that thing I do. Like I had a good time at that thing I did.
As you were talking, you said something about how you're driving along and you get these intuitions, these things that come in. And I look back now on the vacation I went on last week, and I realized we did a lot of driving, and Robin, my wife, tends to be a little on edge in traffic situations as a passenger, and she prefers to sit in the back seat if she could.
Right.
But there were very few times that happened to her just because I was more in tune to what was going on around me,
Sure.
even though it was
Yeah.
frustrating and full of traffic and slowness. It was just like, oh yeah, it's gonna be fine. And I didn't react, and therefore she didn't react.
Right. Yeah, that's a great experience.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
how's her arm doing, by the way?
getting better. She's doing most of her day now without sling.
Okay.
She has some exercises from a PT to begin, but they think it's doing really well.
Oh, good. Glad to hear it.
Yeah,
So.
thank you.
And then we had some shares in chat as well, but go ahead, Cynthia.
Hey, Cynthia.
Thank you. Just wanted to comment, this was a wonderful, wonderful exercise. A week or so ago, you had done this also, and I had jotted down, the oils just very simplistically. So I'd been using Artemisia
Oh, perfect.
and sitting with this
Mhm.
more recently. And so I think it kind of teed it up for you doing it tonight. It was really the way that you did it felt really like everything was melding, I guess.
Yeah, good.
Be
So
a
you had a
good
nice
fit.
session.
And I have a me question for a moment. I've been using some helichrysum over some areas where,
Mhm.
these wounds are healing. And some of the skin seems what I would call kind of roughed up and dry, a little red, more so on this side that is slowly becoming less swollen. I mean, it's really not swollen, but it was at one time. And so I've been trying to figure out whether there was a reaction to the helichrysum, or was it just that skin had been stretched and now maybe is,
I would say it's
call it
probably that.
sloughing.
Yeah.
It's that. Okay. That's
I'd
kind of what
say
I
it's
was
that.
wondering, but
Because I'd almost say like helichrysum would be what you would put on something like that. I mean, you can always develop a sensitivity, but even to helichrysum, I don't know that I've ever seen somebody develop a sensitivity to it.
okay.
I would say it's probably more, yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
should I just continue with the helichrysum and let it just get really dry and kind of flake off? Or
Maybe
should
give
I-
it a day or two and just see like if just like letting it air out a little bit would help. But
Okay.
with dryness sometimes, especially like on the face, I like to even use like a little like aloe vera on it, just because aloe vera can be so hydrating.
Yeah.
And you know, it doesn't have to be real thick, but sometimes when people have gotten burns, I put like really big, like heavy, thick layers of aloe vera,
Sure.
and man, it does wonders for the skin.
Yeah.
And so maybe just like little bits at a time to put on the spot, that could be helpful.
So when you're saying aloe vera, should I be ordering an oil or should
No,
I?
just go get some aloe vera gel at like
Yeah.
the pod store or
Okay.
something. Yeah. Try to get
Right.
it as pure as possible. Like a lot of times they have something that's like 95 or 99% pure aloe vera. Like I'd get that.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, this was really nice. Very nice.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And with the experience, someone shared, wow, the light seemed almost golden as we got to the back of the body.
Yeah.
During the last pause, it felt like the forehead and ajna were doing a very slow waltz.
Yeah. They eventually, you know, because this isn't the whole practice, this is still a part of it, but you got to let your energy body get used to it. Like, you know, if we could do more, I would have done more. But like that was pushing it real good and a very digestible piece. But what starts to happen is, you know, a lot of times our mental body is the ajna and the throat. But as you go through and you do this practice with the three brains and you keep refining it, it starts to be the ajna and the forehead. I mean, the throat's still involved, but what starts to happen is the ajna is focus, the forehead is awareness, and so focus and awareness begin to merge, and it turns into this different kind of perception or this different kind of insight that is much more piercing as the things that you look at. Like you get more information like quicker by going through and doing this process. And so yeah, it's almost like there's this little light that starts to come off your forehead. You know, we're kind of in the process of building that right now, by the way, with all the classes we're doing. So
The three centers did feel more integrated at
yeah,
the end.
yeah,
I think that's
very
the
good.
I think that's the closest I've ever come to dropping the bottle. I never
we had, I just have to share. So on the weekend, like this happened in slow motion, but somebody dropped the bottle in the class we were in Chicago, and this very nice lady, she just like she was so like, you know, in the process, and she reached over to get it, and she just slowly, like chair and all, just went like she didn't fall out of her chair, her and the chair went down, and then she just popped right back up like nothing happened and just kept doing the process. And I was like, there's dropping the bottle, then there's dropping the chair.
I never understood the what. I attempt to turn off the mind / understanding and just go with the flow and appreciate the experience / feelings. It works for me to turn off the person and let the spirit attend.
Oh, good for
classes.
you. Yeah, good for you. Very good for you.
Okay, so this might have been something you answered earlier, maybe not even today. Can you please ask to repeat the inexpensive oil that works really well for auric cleansing?
Oh, eucalyptus smithy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eucalyptus.
Yeah. So, and it's a, I find it to be a very soft eucalyptus. You know, eucalyptus globulus is like, kind of in your face. Smithy it's strong, but it's softer eucalyptus. Yeah, it's very nice. Okay, you guys. Well, let's just ice the cake a little bit. Yeah. So we'll just do this. Just close your eyes for a moment. We've done all this good prep work. We're going to be moving over to the Astara Blessing of the Prayer Petitions if you want to join us, where we are just, it's kind of like a meditation and blessing all at the same time. So feel free, we'll post the link, but if not, just be still for a moment. Let's just feel this energy for a moment. I'll chant a mantra. Om Shri Mahakala Hum Fa Om Shri Mahakala Hum Fa Om Shri Mahakala Hum Fa Hey, everybody, we're going to switch on over, and thanks for joining us. Remember, the ones that did the angelic healing class, we do a review study group tomorrow night, as well as the 2 short Astara healing sessions. So join us if you can, and if not, hopefully I see you on the weekend. Take care, you guys.